What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I host the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers that is co-sponsored by Dove Men Care and Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And through that collaboration, working with both those organizations, I was part of a team that reached out to over 100,000 fathers around the world last year. So blessed and highly favored, magnet for miracles, solution for someone's problem, and realize that you are at the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the home of Epic Conversations. And I know that this is going to be an epic conversation. So let me give you some backstory. There's a lot of people say, oh, you're always communicating with people, you're always out there with people, etc. That is true. But not many people, and hey, this is not a bad thing. Everyone has their lives to live, that reach back out and check in on how I'm doing. Especially individuals that are married, represent a large community of people, who has challenges in his own journey. And I don't even know, it's maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, myself and this gentleman met on the Clubhouse social audio app. And I can only speak on my behalf because that's all the power and energy I can do these days. Myself and this gentleman that I don't like the word connected. We fell into each other's journey. That's what I want to say. And from that initial conversation when we met on a platform, we've been keeping in touch with each other pretty much over a week, at least weekly, if not bi-weekly, for a number of months. And I'm not going to let him go. I don't know if he wants to let me go because he's got over hundreds of thousands of people that have take his time. Plus, he has a beautiful wife and a beautiful family. But that was the backstory. Let me tell you who we're going to be sharing with tonight, or he's going to be sharing with us. His name is Sid McNairy. He's the architect of the art of peaceful living and a spiritualist in every sense of the word. He has trained himself to help others to find relationships to connect to your highest and best self. He's here to help people find discipline in their walk with meditation, yoga, and self-discovery, to know how to access peace and joy in every way. While on the journey to the art of peaceful living, individuals experience a making of a masterpiece of their lives while gaining access to the abundance to move forward for all. And I've heard that and I've experienced that. He's the teacher of teachers, coach to coaches, as he walks the walk of peace. His work is widely known internationally as he has touched lives in every continent. He's the international best-selling author of many books, and him and his dear wife are co-writing the next book, The Search of the Perfect Wave. But we're going to be talking about another book tonight. But let me bring it to the stage for the first time, and hopefully not the last time. Sid McNairy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here and great to get connected with you and your community, and just looking forward to this. So thank you for having me.
This is long overdue. You know that.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we talked about doing this.
but I'm speaking right now. It's going to be the first of many.
I love that.
Because there's and family, whether you're watching this live or the replay, our conversations are so rich. So rich. Like, I wish some people had the chance to listen to some of our conversations, and maybe one day you will, outside of these type of conversations. And one of the things that bonded me close to Sid is part of his heritage is Indigenous. And I hope he shares some of that with us today, this evening, tonight. And I share about this periodically. Just before the pandemic hit, I had an opportunity to go to Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories. Changed my life. And there weren't a lot of people that I could relate this two that got it. And when I shared that with Sid, well, actually, when I first met Sid, he shared about his indigenous heritage. And I felt it. I said, Sid, I feel you. I got to tell you what I experienced. And he celebrated my experience there. So I want to thank you for taking the time, because, again, this young man has many people tugging at him from all around the world. So, Sid, again, thank you. As we say, me bigging you up. Yes, me bigging you up, because you deserve and have earned to be bigged up. Can you share a little bit about your background with our family today?
Yeah. Well, first I'll say, family, forget about me. I love you. That's that. That's how it lands for me. And so as I share about myself, I just want to make sure everyone really sees and gets that space that it's not about me. We're all here together, learning from each other's experiences, and that's probably the greatest thing that I think I have is my experiences. My experiences have uh, allowed me to be here now where I am. Good, bad, right, or wrong, whatever, however you want to look at those things. And each one of them has shaped me to make me a better person and move me here. And so when it comes to sharing about myself, I mean, I could talk about myself, gosh, long time. So the most simplest thing I'd say is uh, I was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I started playing sports when I was 7. At 8 years old, I had a coach that taught me to meditate, and every coach after that taught me to meditate. And so, uh, in my under my belt, I have 454 wins in athletics, and under 100 losses, and that kind of shapes where I am. You know, really, um, something that lands for me is peace has been the power for me that I live by, and because of sports and that whole essence that has opened up for me, I'd have to say that I am about winning at everything, like everything. I am probably the most competitive person most people would ever meet. And yet, it's not for me, winning at everything goes beyond beating other people now. Like, that's not a win at everything for me. Even if it's, if I were coaching a sport, I'd want the other team that I would win against to learn from the way that we move. That's how it is, so that when it comes through all the things that have gone through my life and looking to elevate myself, that that part of winning is me being an example for anyone and everyone that I meet, and how that can open up. And so when I look at that, it's like, okay, that's that's part of my life has been sports. And then at the end of I coached college football for 12 years, and towards the end I began to have to look at where was I and how did I want to elevate my life. So that put me on my spiritual walk, in my spiritual path in that sense. And so from coaching football, I transitioned to yoga, uh, to really connecting into my Native American life, and that lasted for, I ended up owning yoga studios for 14 years,
Wow.
where my practice had started in 1996 as far as yoga asana movement in that sense. And then what happened was I had trained my son to teach yoga at when he was 13, and then he bought me out of my yoga studio when he was 23. And
Wow.
all Yeah, and so all of a sudden I had to reinvent myself. And so that put me on the trajectory to where I am now. And so now what it is I work with um, coaches of teams, and I'm on retainer to go help them work with their teams and move them through yoga, move them through meditation, move them through the mental part of the game, which I think is the most important part. And then also working with, major companies and CEOs, and helping their leaders win at everything. So when it comes to it, what I'm really stepping into and finding a lot of power in is creating leadership platforms where people can learn to lead in a different way. If we keep leading from the old ways, we'll keep getting what we've gotten. And if we evolve, then we can take the world into a new place. So that's what I'm looking at.
Amazing. Some vision board music saying peace and blessings to both of you. Michelle Hollis saying hi to April, saying hi to you, hi to myself. Thank you, family. Yeah, come in with the comments, please do. We're having the first of, I'm saying, many epic conversations. Sid, you got into coaching, but who coached you when you were younger?
So my soccer coach was really Coach Stevens. I had at 7 I started playing, and then I was seen as a kid that could play. I guess it was, I don't really know what they saw, because at 7, I mean, how much are you really doing? But they came and asked my parents if I could try out for this select team, and next thing you know, I was my dad actually was planning on coaching me the next year, and he had volunteered to coach these kids, and I was supposed to be one. I was his first draft pick, and and then when I tried out for this team, I was gone. So he used to make me go to practice and show the other kids how to play. I remember there was this young lady named, I mean, she was a little kid then, or we all were. Her name was Stephanie Getty, and she ended up being the best player on the team. It was all boys and her, and we became good friends over the years, and we went to school together and things like that. But Coach Stevens was probably the biggest impact in my athletic career, because I played for him from 8 years old all the way up until I was 26. And he took us over to England. So he's by far the most impactful coach in some ways, because he had the most years behind and making that impact. So he was the one that would help us sit and be still and look at ourselves. And he had played with the likes of Pele and some great players and things like that. And so then I had my high school football coach, Coach Harville, taught us to meditate. When I went to switch sports and back from football to soccer in college, Ishi taught us to meditate. Then I went and left playing sports in college and started coaching football. And when I went to work on my master's degree, for some reason, there was a guy that had played at Eastern Illinois University, and it was a class for sports administration for my master's. And he was like, Sid, you're going to teach everybody to meditate, because he gave everybody a project. But for some reason, he said it was meditation was my thing to teach everybody, which was interesting, because he didn't know me from anybody in the room. At least I didn't think so. And then, so once I started doing that, I began to teach meditation to all of my players. And, so it's just something that's been in my life. And that part for me of being able to focus my mind to listen on a deeper level than just what's coming out of somebody's mouth. And it's not, there's that buzzword of active listening. I don't think that's listening at all, personally, because you can't do two things at 100%. So when it comes to that, I learned how to just be and really listen without thoughts going through my head, without judgments of right or wrong. Do I trust this person? Are they good or bad? Or all these different things that we have in our head. That was gone from me. And so I definitely would say Coach Stevens is the person that impacted my life in a way that was like, okay, here I am. Now, Coach Harville inspired me to become a coach and wanting to go and coach football, because he impacted so many lives as a football coach. And then I had so many coaches after that at Eastern Illinois, when I coached for Coach Spoo and Joe Novak in Northern Illinois, and Eric Holmes in Northern Michigan. And probably one of the greatest impacts on my life. And I say this, and even if my players see it, they might be, dang, he said that, it was Coach Hill. And we were alike in many ways, but we were really different. And I was so different in the sense of wanting to make sure I was working someone's mind, where he was like, all right, it's physical, it's physical, it's physical. But he was a big impact in my life because it let me navigate and become who I was really meant to become. So it was really good that way.
What was the first coaching job you had, and what was that experience like?
So my first coaching job out of college, and I say only because of the amount of money I made, but it was definitely what shaped me as a coach. My first job was with Bob Spoo, who has since passed, and he was an absolutely amazing coach because he coached at 1AA football. But I think at one point we took a picture, and there were 23 of us in the picture that were either, well, now I'd say probably 23. I'd say probably at least 15 of those guys coached in the NFL. And so, yeah,
Wow.
so he was a
That's
huge
the
impact.
definition of a coach's tree.
Yeah, he was a huge impact because, I mean, I'm talking the likes of Sean Payton, Mike Mallory, so many
Wow.
different people that
Yeah.
he coached and put us into this place that, I mean, he'd pick up the phone and people would be like, I don't even need to interview. It was just that Bob says you're good, you're good. And so he was kind of, at one point, I mean, I was making $6,000 a year, and I had, my son was on the way. And so he was like, you got to go take this job. And I wanted to go to Northern Illinois at the time. He's like, you don't want to go there. They're going to get fired next year. So I want you to go take this other job up in Northern Michigan in the Upper Peninsula. And, you know, I'm a Southern boy. I like this warm Florida weather here.
Yes.
And so he was like, go take this job. And then when they get fired, I'll get you a job with the next guy. And he did. He made that promise. I took the job so that I could feed a newborn baby and my wife, and we could keep going with our lives. And then he made true on his promise and called Coach Novak and said, hey, this is a guy you need to hire. And he did. And it shaped my life in so many ways.
Wonderful. These days, the majority of people, well, you know what? I was going to say that recognize you from yoga and meditation, but you have families and communities in different areas. There's athletics, there's yoga, meditation. When did you realize that you were going to take your yoga meditation to the next level?
Well, I'd say that what happened was at Morgan State, I was already I was practicing yoga and meditating, right? And I used to practice by myself in the stadium, and people would see me, and they realized, all right, this guy's really peaceful, and yet at Morgan State we had 24 years of losing, and yet there was an opportunity. Was they were the second most injured team in the conference, and so the Don Hill was he bought into the idea that we could get players healthy, and if we kept them on the field, we'd be better off. And so then I began to teach the whole team. So we'd have 100 guys doing yoga at once, and still to this day, a lot of them call me and say that they still do yoga, or they'll be in their office and feeling off and stop and meditate and do those kind of things. And so that was the transition. And then it got to a point where it was like, okay, I'm leaving coaching. This is where I'm going, and I'm going to go to yoga.
Was that a hard thing to do?
Oh, definitely. I mean, and for years after, it was like, all right, should I go back? Should I go back? Should I go back? I mean, I even entertained going back into the coaching realm of things this year. So it's still not, well, I think this year was the final swing where I said, okay, I'm going to swing really big at this. If it happens, that's what God's saying, go. If not, I'm putting that one in my back pocket and rolling out. So, yeah, this seemed like the final year. Now, I still work with teams, and I think that's what kind of pulls at my strings, because I work with teams, basketball teams, football teams, soccer teams, whatever. gymnastics. And so motivating people to do their best is still something I love to do. And so when it comes to being on retainers with universities to work with their coaches, I mean, it's just in me. Like, and it's something I don't know if I could ever turn off, that desire to win.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm
Right.
not sure I ever want to turn that off, you know.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Where where has the yoga meditation taken you professionally and personally?
Mm. Well, I'd say professionally, which is the easier part, it put my kids through school, right? Private school, paid for college for my oldest when he had to go pay for college. The other two, fortunately, have been able to do their own deal uh, with scholarships and things like that. And so it gave me that. I mean, it really, now, not only did it give it to me professionally in that sense of being able to feed my family, which I, I'm not, there's not a lot of yoga people that can say they were able to really do that. Uh, at least not on that level of how I move my family.
Right.
And so that was really big to be able to, in 2006, I knew that in my mind, it was like, all right, football does it this way. Football goes and gets sponsors and, Nike or Reebok. And so I reached out to all those people that I knew when I was leaving coaching, was like, all right, who wants to sponsor yoga? It wasn't received as much as I thought it would be. Yet at some point, Lululemon took me on and made me an ambassador for, gosh, for 10 years. And
Wow.
so that was really big. So professionally, it created, because I had the mindset of football, I had the concept that it was like, okay, we could take this to a different level. And so that was big. And then in what it did for me professionally, yoga took me all over the world. I wouldn't have done that with football because football's only in the U.S., right, other than Canada. But I wasn't coaching Canadian, and so it took me all over the world to teach yoga and meet people and do those kind of things. Then with my personally, meditation and yoga have been my best friends. It's always there, never leaves, doesn't judge. I got the no good luck, good or bad moments. My yoga and meditation practice were there for me to straighten myself out, for sure.
Nice. Nice. You our initial bonding was because of my curiosity with part of your heritage, indigenous. Share with us how important that has been to you, and you always give me wonderful stories about, and one of the things that really Sid and I related to initially too is when I went to Yellowknife, I was at a conference, and it was a 3-day conference, and every day elders would pray at the beginning and pray at the end. And that has never left me. And when I remember early in our conversations, you talked about elders. Can you just shed some light on either how important that is, how important that's been to you, Indigenous elders, in your journey?
Well, one, I speak a lot about my grandmother Morningstar, and she's not my biological grandmother. She's my native grandmother that adopted me and made me family and set me on the mountain and put me through a lot of different things. She used to come down and teach at my yoga studio and inspire so many people. So she's been huge in my life, and I finally had a moment to feel like, even with all the different things that we've done together, I felt like I was giving back to her when the other day I had a chance to um, give her energy work. Well, just to call it that. And so I felt like I had an opportunity to just give back to somebody that's given so much to me, and to hear her say, "Thank you, grandson," and those kind of things, so she can have a great trip to France and all of that. It's just huge. And so what happened in that journey, because really I started to really dive in after football. So I was already 34, when 33, when I started doing my biggest deep dive into my Native American practices. And so what happened was there were already, I mean, I was smart enough, having been through coaching football, that if somebody's done it before you, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can go just be a spoke in the wheel, you know? And so it was easy to listen to the stories that they would tell, you know, to really say, okay, I'm willing to be coachable, uh, and listen to the stories, and now I can guide my life. Because I was already at a point of like, okay, this isn't working. And if this isn't working, somebody's got to have something. I'm just going to listen and try to soak it all up. And in the Native American customs, things aren't really written in books. You know, you go around somebody, and if it's something you're meant to pick up, you'll just know it when it's all said and done. And so I had that luxury to be able to be around amazing people, that poured into me and filled me up so that I could pour into other people. So I will always honor the people before me. You know, I have a peace pipe that is, all these children on top of children, and on the top is a kid with the eagle head. And so it's standing on 7 generations of the people before me to be able to be the one to fly. So that's something that really lands for me deeply, and I'll always honor the people that have been here before, not just the ones I've met, but the elders that I call on when I call for help. You know, it's important to me.
Yeah, that that sense that's ingrained in you, I really respect that. I really I could tell from our initial conversation that's part of your core.
Oh, for sure.
That's part of your core. How much do you, and you mentioned already, it's part of your journey, but how much do you, how can I say, how is that part of you helping others? How much of that foundation of indigenous, of Native American is in you when it comes to helping others?
Well, I'll say that, how it shows up for me now is when someone has given, it's, my dad used to say it a lot because it's in the Bible. Those who are given much, much is expected.
Yeah.
And so for me, I've been given a lot. You know, 454 wins weren't because Sid was the only one on the field,
Right.
or Sid was the only one coaching, or it's always been about team.
Right.
So I'm only as good as those that help me lift up to be my best. And so with that, I feel like I owe it to everybody that comes behind me to share my experiences, because they aren't going to have my experiences. You know, many people, may never experience a pandemic. All of us have an experience that people coming later, the ones that are being born now, may not ever experience a pandemic. So if they allow it to be, if it ever came back, which hopefully there'll never be a pandemic again for the rest of humanity, but if it ever came back like it was way before this one, we have something we can share and help them get through it if we are willing to share, and if they're willing to listen to their elders that have just, doesn't matter what they know, they've been around longer, period. That's facts. Like if I've been here 98 years and somebody else has been here 110, they got a little extra on me, right?
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
I can humble myself and listen. Doesn't mean I have to do everything that I'm told. Yet for me, listening to their stories, honoring them in that way, then I can choose what it's going to be like if I really listen and not have to step in the same pothole.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Let's transition a little bit. I know that you wanted to talk about a book called The Secret Weapon. What's this secret weapon about? I thought you were the secret weapon.
Man, I'm just the secret because people don't know that the secret's flowing through me. And so
Okay.
when I think about the secret weapon, well, for me, the secret weapon is the one that created everything. I mean, I've got the greatest teammate possible when I allowed myself to be teammates with the thing that created everything. Whatever you want to call it. You want to call it God, you want to call it the source, the great spirit, whatever you want to call it. It is the thing that was the beginning, right? In John verse 1, chapter 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Well, that's it. And then if it was the Word, who was God talking to? Itself. So if you know that, if you have any concept of that, to me, that's the secret weapon. Like, that's diving in. Now, what the secret weapon is about is beginning to really gain the perspective, the overstanding of how can you operate with the weapon, with that secret weapon that really commands everything in the universe, not just the world, but the universe, and the multi-universes expanding beyond this. And so if I can operate and know how to move with that, then I have everything at my fingertips. And so that's something that I've cultivated for myself over the years. And then it's the secret weapon, win at everything. And to me, to win at everything means that I've got to achieve my best all the time. I've got to help someone else next to me be at their best. That's a win. You know, if I'm in a relationship, and it's okay if I've made steps that I see that could be different, next time go win that. You know, that's that's for me, when losses and failure are a mute point, is when I keep going and I learn and I begin to win. That's when it becomes different. And so I love being in that mindset for myself. I love that I went and spoke at BAE Systems, which is a $25 billion defense contractor, so that they could learn how to bring peace back into their environment for the people coming out of the pandemic. That mindset helped them bring peace in a world that they may not have thought peace was the way to go, you know, because they're a defense contractor, which makes sense in many ways. And so now, how do you win as a defense contractor? If you got to use your weapons, is that really winning? Not to me. But if you may need them, though. So it's just a whole space that I love bringing forward for people.
So David Watt is saying Sid is on point. Hashtag peace, hashtag power, hashtag win.
My guy. That's awesome.
Right. Let me ask, this is another book. I know that you're the type of individual, there's a reason why you write a book. What is the reason why you wrote this book at this time of your journey?
Well, you know, now I mean, all these books up here on the window. I've written 5 books. And why did I write this book? This book specifically started with a journey. My wife and I, Liz and I, sold everything in our house. Hit the road because I knew I was hitting a ceiling, right? Like, there was only so far I was going to go in the life that I was living. And I wanted to expand in a way that I could get to my mission, which is from my native name, He Who Brings Peace. Getting into that mission was like, okay, where do we go? And it's not here. So we got to go out there to find it. And so we hit the road 32,000 miles over the course of a year in several countries. And then at the end of that, it was like, okay, we were in the Dominican Republic when Corona took off, and Donald Trump said he was going to close the borders. So we had to get back, which meant we didn't have a house. We had, we were homeless, not houseless, because people gave us their houses and allowed us to stay in their homes and things. But so for the first, 8 months, we were just bouncing. And then finally we were like, all right, we gotta figure this out. It looks like this isn't gonna stop. So then we said, all right, gotta figure out where we're gonna live. And I said, if someone said we could go to Atlanta in their house for a month, and I said, I just need 30 days. I can write this book because the book is calling now. So I wrote 11 chapters in 3 days, and in
Wow.
22 days it was published, and it's really that steps. The reason I wrote the book is really because every step of the way, all 5 books have been part of my journey. And it's like my books have documented the steps along the way. This was one that I just felt like had to be spoken. And now we're already on the next book, you know, so it definitely, it's a game changer for sure.
What tingles you? When do you get the feeling to write a book? You've written 6 now. I haven't written one yet. Five. Sorry, 5. My correction. But
no worries.
What is the feeling? When do you know it's the time to put pen to paper? Is there a feeling? Is there a sense? Is it a process that just happens randomly? What, is this? Let me put it this way. Is the same urge you had to write this book the same that you had to write previous books?
No, I think the first spark was I was in coaching. So it was kind of, all right, if I want to be the best coach, what have the best coaches done? The best coaches had their playbook. So in my head, I have an offensive, defensive, and special teams playbook. I can pull it out at any point in time. I feel that if someone is in that space of, for me as a coach, as a player, you bring forward your playbook, right? Your playbook is what drives you, what wins games. For me, when it comes to writing the book, so that was part of it as a coach was, all right, what's going to be my book? How are people going to know my message, my culture, all those things? So I began to write like that. Now, I thought that I was writing a coaching book first, which the Warrior Within was my 3rd book. And yet what happened was other books came out before that. So I had 2 yoga books that came out before that. Then the Warrior Within, which was my journey, my spiritual journey, and then taking all the coaching antidotes. It's really 2 books in one. So maybe that's why you said 6. In the second part, it's the coaching antidotes and how they related to the spirit of the game, and the game is life is the second book. And of that book. And then this really just unfolded in a way that it was like, okay, this is what it's time for me to deliver that. Mm-hmm. Now, the book that I've already started writing, I mean, but many people don't know, I lost my sight down to 10% of my sight.
Right.
And so when I began to get that back, I instantly, before I lost any recollection of, all right, I've lost my sight, what has it taught me? I went and outlined 11 chapters because it was like, now I haven't started writing the individual words, but I know it's there and can recall it, because it was like, no, this part of my journey is something that most people lose their sight. It's at the end of life. So I wanted to make sure that book that's coming, that it was ready to be delivered. This one was right after we took a journey. I mean, how many people sell everything in their house and hit the road to go find what's next? So for me, it's really that spark of, I'm here as a teacher. I'm meant to teach. And so when I get the lessons, I want to put it in a book and let that out. And so for me, I mean, I've trained close to 3,000 yoga teachers. And when I do that, I don't have a book. I walk in as Sid, and I can walk somebody through all the steps of 500 hours worth of teacher training with me being the book. And I think that's important for me. Like, yes, people can go read my books, yet I feel that anyone that writes a book, they should be the book that they write. Or even if, I have a friend who is very devout Christian, and he's memorized like 50 verses in the Bible.
Wow.
And so that's his playbook. Don't come to me telling me you believe in anything, but yet you don't know how to recite anything from the anything.
Right.
So
Got
that's
it.
part of it for me, is making sure that the people that really want to walk this walk of peace have access to the teaching so they can become the book.
I don't want to get too deep into you almost losing your eyesight, but you did mention, so I have a question and you can take it whatever way you want. How did you use the title of this book, The Secret Weapon, Win at Everything, when it came to winning at getting your sight back?
Well, there's in the book we talk about programs, and we have programs, and we build these programs, and then there's one major program, and then there's echoes of that program that we use to protect ourselves from losing any more of that connection to the source, that connection to love. Every time something comes, we build an echo of that program. So when it came to losing my sight, what I've come to know with the programs is I couldn't see the full program. So what did the source do? What did I do on the inside to create a shift? Took my sight away. Now you got to look in, all the way in. There's no partial looking in when you can't look out. I could reach my arm out and I touched my wife on her shoulder and I couldn't see her face. And so I could see the silhouette of her body, but I couldn't see her face. And so for me, that's the biggest part of what that was creating, and how the secret weapon speaks to that. And then the other thing to get out of those programs, another part of it is stop, listen, and feel. And so really, all right, I know I'm going in a direction that wasn't working. I was going in the direction of losing my sight. So I had to stop and get really still, and then begin to listen to what's the thought patterns that are running, that are creating this loss of sight, and then feel my way forward. And when you can't see, you're pretty much feeling through everything. So yeah, that was it for sure.
How do you feel after the completion of this book, if any way different compared to the completion of the other books? Any different feeling?
Yeah, the completion of this book was just, one, it came out so fast, right? In 22 days, we edited the full book, went through with an editor, reading it word to word together 11 times in 22 days.
You know how much you're stretching me right now?
Yeah, got to go get it, man. You got to go get it. So it really was that too. Like, it stretched me to pull something out and put it forward and have it published in 22 days. I think that in itself, and it's 22. We published it on 11/11/2021. 22 days to get it published. There was something to all of those 11. So I really feel that there was a sense of, all right, this has got to come forward. So that came forward, and then, I'm up to so many different things. Like, we just finished the movie. The erasing those programs from me and getting clear, acknowledge, receive, and transform. But to do that, acknowledging where the patterns were and what was stopping, receive the information to make a shift, and then transform to what I'm bringing forward. That's the art. That's the art in so many ways. So this book helped pull forward and gave me this, like, I feel, the Navy SEAL saying, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So if I slow down, I actually speed up. Because if I slow down, I now begin to see the steps and I take them precisely, which speeds me up in the end because I get there directly, right? There's no side turns and having to come back to getting back online. So what happened over the time of really slowing down in order to speed up, I now got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm slow enough that I'm really fast. And it's just that this book has put me in that process of slowing down to speed up and to watch myself so that I can be precise and continue to move forward, let my words speak that transform the space of where I'm going, and continue to speak everything into existence as this alignment of truth inside, letting that come forward. So it's been pretty powerful.
So just some message here, a long-time supporter of the Dr. Vibe show and Dr. Vibe. Sid is so inspirational. Playbooks, programs, elders, and the warriors within are grabbing me as I am listening. I will buy the secret weapon and study the secret. Thank you, Dr. Vibe and Sid, sir. And
You're
also,
welcome.
yeah, and from Australia, by the way.
Awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Wonderful gentleman. And Angie says, how does one start to be? I hope I understand. How does one start to begin to be the best you? That's probably the way it should be worded.
Well, I'd say the way that someone starts is first to just make the commitment. Say, like for me, that commitment was I wanted peace in my life. And so the universe is already starting to answer as soon as you just say, this is what I want. And then we could hop on a call. You can go on the website, artofpeacefulliving.com or sidmcnairy.com, and set up a call. We can jump on the phone. I love helping people. Sometimes that 30-minute call that we do, I know someone who transformed her marriage, and it was just that 30-minute call. So if it's only 30 minutes, we're good to go, and you keep flowing. If not, there's different ways. There's the 8-week peace program to come into, and many different things in that way. So there's a lot of steps that you can take, and I love doing that with people because I've done it, and so anyone can do it. The last thing I'll say on those lines is to make sure that when you say it's what you want, have the discipline to see it all the way through.
Look at this. And I guess you're a doctor now. Thank you, Dr. Vibe, and thank you for answering Dr. Sid.
That's my dad. That's not me. That's my dad's Dr. Sid. I don't know if I even want to go to school to get that title.
Where do you get your resiliency from?
My resiliency. Well, it's in my bloodline, right? I was blessed to be born with so many different nationalities running through my blood. And so because of that,
Hold on, just before you go any further,
yeah.
Why don't you just list them for people? Because people may want to go, what's he talking about?
Native American, Egyptian, which now is more Ethiopian because they kind of taken over that region in many ways. Scottish, French, Indonesian, and a whole lot of other stuff. But that's the basics of it. And so I really feel that, think about it, like even in that sense, let's not even go where most people probably go, like African American, they've had to go through this, that, or the other. I'm not even going there. I'm going to all of those melting pots in my body. The ones that show up that people see are the ones that were able to survive with all the other ones coming into my body at the same time. So that resiliency is who I am because I'm so mixed, period. The resiliency is what has birthed me to be me. We're all that level of resiliency when there's millions upon millions of sperm that swim to only one makes it. That's resiliency. So we all have that. Like now I've stretched that. Like as much as I've received that from my parents and in their ability to make it from my grandparents before them and before that, what I've done is everybody's done it. If you're still here, you're resilient in some way. And for me, I've been through a lot of tests. And in the midst of all those tests, I just continue to want to go for it. So that it's a burning desire for me to be my best. Like that, like for some reason, people have this concept of winning as competitive, bad nature. Well, I hate to say this, but if you believe in Jesus at all, which a lot of people do. 2.8 million of them do, right? Or 2.8 billion people believe in Jesus, follow Christianity. Well, guess what? Jesus wanted to be the best, hands down. You can go argue it if you want, but Jesus wanted to be the best. So if you follow that and you're not looking to make yourself the best person you can be, you're not really following it. So for me, when my parents said, being African American in this country and Native American, if you're average, it's not good enough. That's what I was told.
Yep.
So in order to make it, I knew I had to be better than average. Well, to me, that meant shoot for whatever the example they put in front of me as the best. I got to go for that. And that's something that just burns in me to say, okay, I'm going to clear that bar. No matter what the bar is that somebody put in front of me, if I'm going to be the greatest of all times, I got to win, and I got to go clear that bar.
Nice.
Yeah, I just want to be the greatest Sid possible in this life.
Absolutely. Probably we'll start winding it down because it has probably been a long day for you. How did the name The Art of Peaceful Living come about?
Well, my mission, which is the Native American name that I got, he who brings peace, nahi adanade nuato hiadu, he who brings peace. And in that moment, I took on the mission from Spirit to go bring peace into the world. As we began to say, okay, how does that really look? And it started out, we were just Nahi Wellness because it was part of my native name. But a lot of people, even though it's 4 letters, it seems really easy to me to say.
Yeah.
A lot of people couldn't remember that. So an easy way was, all right, what do we teach? Well, we teach people how to be peaceful in their life. And so this is an art, though. This is an art, you know. So we wanted people to make sure that it was easy for people to get to. And when someone hears Art of Peaceful Living, they automatically know, all right, if I'm interested, I'm going to want to go find out more about how to live peacefully.
Wonderful. Well, I think we'll end it there for part 1. So you can tell that Sid is an incredible storyteller, and he has so many stories. And we're speaking it as we go along the journey. He'll share some more with us. Sid, any final thoughts you'd like to share with us as we let you continue your journey?
Yeah, say one thing that unfolded with me recently. Well, one, come see us on Clubhouse. Go to the 413 room. That's 6:38 Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time. Doesn't matter, whichever one you're looking at. As well as the Art of Peaceful Living, which is typically at 10:10. We have some rooms that are different times. Check it all out on Clubhouse. I think it's great to get connected into those communities because there are a bunch of people that are living into where they want to see things go. And the final thing I'll say is, which is something that uncovered for me this year. Well, there's a couple of them, but I'm only going to share one. And it's this. And I ask people this question when we get on the phone call. Often I'll ask, do you know the power of your thoughts? And at this point, many people do, with the evolution of where we are as people. And if you know the power of your thoughts, like if you're sitting there and you say, yeah, I know the power of my thoughts. I know what my thoughts do. They create. If I write it down on paper, this is manifesting, blah, 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 blah. Well, then why would you ever have anything other than a positive thought? And if you take that and run with it, it'll walk you all the way home. Like really, like why would you ever speak another thought? It's the thought first. So if you're speaking negatively, you're actually creating that into the world. If you're thinking negatively and you write it down negatively, you're creating that into the world. If you're thinking negatively about yourself and you're looking at yourself, you're creating more negativity into your life. So why would you ever have anything other than a positive thought? Go be positive in your thoughts and watch your life shift.
Wow. Great words to end it off by Sid McNairy, a brother from another mother. And there's a book, The Secret Weapon. Go to the artofpeacefulliving.com. You can also follow him on Instagram at Sid McNairy. Also Facebook's Sid McNairy. Sorry I didn't put the Clubhouse stuff up. That'll be next time. So it was
No
my
way.
head, not my heart. Sid, I want to say thank you so much for making me a better person.
And you know what's interesting about that is I met a guy that at one point said to me, "May everyone you meet from this day forward have been happy to have met you."
That's
And
a big yeah, that's a big one.
So thank you for saying that, because it's something that since that moment I've looked to allow people to feel like they have been happy to have met me. So I'm happy to have met you too, bro, for sure. And I
Absolutely.
look forward to when we open up and do some different things together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love to your wife, love to your family, love to your community as always. Angie is saying, wow, amen. Thank you. Beautiful. Take care, my man. Be well.
All
Keep
right,
the
you
faith.
too.
We will chat. Well, we'll be chatting by Friday. So
Yeah, you got
at
it.
least, well, actually tomorrow. We'll be chatting. There we go.
Yep.
So just for those who don't know, Sid and I make it a regular to speak once a week on Thursday afternoons. So you got us tonight on a Wednesday night, but we got each other tomorrow. And then also I joined one of his Clubhouse rooms on Friday. So absolutely with it. Take care, my brother. Keep the faith. And remember to
All
give
right, you
yourself
too.
grace. And remember also not only to manage your time, but manage your energy. I know you do that already.
All right.
Take
Thank you
care.
now.
Peace. All right, folks. Epic conversation. Epic conversation. Just want to put up the details again on how you can touch base with Sid. There's a website address, Instagram, Facebook, and also if you go on Clubhouse, look for the Art of Peaceful Living Club. All right, I'd like to say thank you for watching another epic conversation called the Dr. Vibe Show. If you want to reach out to me, this is where you can do that. Website, email, Facebook, Instagram. All right. Always I close out with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace. And also remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. God bless, peace to all, keep the faith, and thanks for watching. It's appreciated, not taken for granted.